folks, welcome along to another episode of Horsing Around with Horsepower. I'm Hanno.
My name is Max.
And I'm Jishnu.
And in today's episode, we will be talking about the changes that F1 is bringing to the tyres in 2022, and how these changes will affect both the speed of the cars and their racing capabilities. F1 has some of the smallest, if not the smallest size of the wheels for a major motorsport. Sitting at just 13 inches as of 2021, these wheels have been a testament to Pirelli's ingenious engineering, mostly. However, with the F1 car averaging about 1,000 brake horsepower, the wheel sizes don't fit the trend that production cars have. That is, the greater the brake horsepower, the bigger the size of the wheel. And why is that so, some of you might ask?
Well, there are a few reasons to use these measly 13-inch rims, or shall I say 330mm as the rest of the world would understand it. Now, these tires measure up to 670mm, and so the rims leave just 170mm of space left for the sidewall. Or in layman terms, this is the thickness of the tires. Well, some of you might think that this is redundant. The thick sidewalls are actually an integral part of the suspension of the car. The tall sidewalls deform when they come into contact with the road, and they also help to absorb the impact and vibrations in the process, controlling the movement and the balance of the car's weight and maintaining its grip. Now, naturally, the taller the sidewall, the better the deformation of the tire, thus the greater its suspension capabilities. And in extension, the more the tires absorb, the lesser the load on the springs and the damper, meaning that these parts can be made lighter, cheaper, and more compact. And so for this reason, F1 has stuck to its small tires for a long time.
Alright, but moving away from the small tires and also the dark tones of my fellow co-hosts, F1 is now bringing in a new change to the 2022 regulations. So the 18-inch tires is what's going to be new for the 2022 car. This is with the claim that it was actually going to lead to better racing with larger tires compared to the 13-inch tires that F1 has stuck to for so long. And while there is yet to be proof of this claim, James Allison, who is the technical director for the Mercedes F1 team, says that these larger wheels will actually make the car slower by 2 seconds per lap. And that's roughly what you can expect from a car that has lost 120 horsepower. With 120 horsepower, some of you might be thinking, is that a lot? Is that very little? So it's about the same as a Mini Cooper would have, so it's quite significant, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the actual impact between, the bigger tire sizes and the car's performance? So there is a very strong correlation over here, because a change in wheel size actually leads to a change in weight, and weight is the enemy of speed in any car. Even a 1-inch increase in wheel size can actually significantly increase the weight of a car. With 5 inches being added to the car's rim, estimates show that the weight increases to be about 15.5 kilograms. And based on the power-to-weight ratio, 15.5 kilograms in a Formula 1 car is equivalent to losing about 17 horsepower. And in a highly competitive sport such as Formula 1, this 17 horsepower can actually prove to be a crucial difference, and one that could even be a winning difference. However, 17 horsepower shouldn't produce a 2-second per lap deficit as James Allison suggested. Using a rumored formula to calculate the effect of horsepower loss on lap times yields a loss of about 0.25 milliseconds per lap due to the increased weight alone. But where did James Allison get the 2 seconds from?
Yeah, indeed. Where did he get these 2 seconds from? Did he just pluck it out from nowhere? Did it fall from the sky? No, it didn't. It's actually based on estimates and calculations. So one key reason is that wheels have both linear and rotational inertia. So rotational inertia refers to how difficult it is to get an object like a wheel to rotate. Now you can imagine trying to spin up a fidget spinner versus spinning up a bicycle tire. Which is easier? Obviously the fidget spinner. Why? Because it's smaller and it's lighter. Now rotational inertia is different because it depends on where an object's mass is positioned relative to its center or the axis of rotation. The further the axis, the weight that is positioned, the harder it is to make that object increase or decrease its rate of rotation. For wheels, most of their mass is in the rims, which happens to be as far as possible from the axis of rotation. Now this means that increasing wheel size adds extra weight of which almost all of it is further away from the center of the wheel, creating an even greater increase in the rotational inertia. So the more rotational inertia you have, the more power you need to overcome this inertia, and the less power is available for you to apply to the forward movement of your car.
Here's the thing though, this is not all that, Ellison had in mind when he quoted his 2-second deficit. There really is one more problem, and that is that the new wheels will mean new tires. With a total diameter of 725mm for the new ones compared to the current 670mm, larger tires means an increased weight gain, most of which is further away from its axis of rotation, as Max has previously mentioned. But there is also the key aspect of sidewalls here. As mentioned previously, sidewalls are an integral part of our car's suspension. However, with the new tire sizes, the sidewalls are down to being just 135mm wide, which is a 35mm decrease on each side. This means that new and larger springs will be required to combat the loss of absorption from the tires, meaning even more weight.
And now, with all these implications of the size change in the wheels, James Ellison is actually not too far off when he claims that the cars will be about 2 seconds slower per lap. But cars going slower isn't actually all too bad, even if it may seem to be against the very philosophy of F1. But with slower speeds actually comes increased safety, and with the recent increase in fatal crashes, for example, Antoine Hubert at Spa in 2019, and the Marshal's death at the Brands Hatch racetrack in the British Automobile Racing Club. Safety has actually become an increased concern for the FIA and for the sporting community in general. And although the FIA has taken some steps to increase safety in the recent years, looking at things like the inclusion of the halo, which saved Romain Grosjean's life in Bahrain, and the reduction of pit stop times recently, quite a controversy actually, and a majority of the crashes actually occur because of the insanely fast speeds of Formula 1 cars. And as such, increasing the wheel sizes leads to slower speeds, and this can actually increase the safety of the sport, which is something that I think we should all be happy about.
Indeed. Additionally, having the thick sidewalls provide a great deal of suspension was also a drawback to some extent. Having tires that would deflect and flex so much meant that there was a great deal of uncertainty involved. Uncertainty that the teams could not adjust to meet their needs of the different tracks. Furthermore, the current tires amount to quite a bit of dirty air that is left in the wake of an F1 car. With the tires flexing as much as they do, they are continuously changing its shape and it's oscillating back and forth, and this in turn creates turbulence in the air around it, which refers to the dirty air. So in doing so, it leaves behind air that is not parallel in stream, affecting the downforce abilities of the cars following behind. Now, changing the wheels with smaller sidewalls then means that teams can control more of the suspension setup of the car and fine-tune it to the different tracks as and when they need. This will set the better teams out from the rest, and the teams that they are able to adjust to this the quickest are the ones that will fare the best. And a lower profile tire will deflect and flex less, meaning a lesser turbulent air created by these tires. So in theory, this means that the following cars will be able to follow closely and have actually more overtaking opportunities, leading to a more exciting and better race experience for all of us viewers. Now, in addition, with the many aerodynamic changes coming through 2022, the load created by the downforce on the wheels will also be reduced, thus reducing the stress on the wheels. Now, this means that a smaller sidewall is required to support the load, and the teams can actually run a lower tire pressure setup, both of which in theory should prevent the tires from blowing out randomly, like Verstappen's and Stroll's incident in Baku. So this actually further increases the safety of the cars.
That is true, and another bit of innovation that the FIA will be implementing are the wheel covers. Some of you might have seen the recent testing done with the sleek black covers and wondered what their role is. Well, it is related to the turbulent air as well. With the wheels having an irregular shape, it deflects the air in all directions, causing some turbulent air. Introducing wheel covers ensures a smooth surface for the air to travel on or by, further reducing the impact of the wheels on the dirty air. In essence, while changing the wheel size might have seemed like no big deal, it turns out that it is. It will impact everything from the handling of the car, to the setup options available on each track, to the speeds and cornering abilities of said car. Pirelli is also going to need to come up with a new rubber compound to make up for the difference in thermal properties of the smaller sidewalls. Basically, next year is going to be an exciting one, not only on track but also off it, with the competition being very tight. And as such, three of us over here are pretty excited to see what is going to happen next year and what are the implications of these wheels in practice, because all that is said here is in theory. So I hope that you guys will be joining us along for the ride and hope you guys also enjoy it.
Until next time, this has been Horsing Around with Horsepower.
Oh yeah.